This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV Profit.
This is Professor A.G. Iyer welcoming you to this exclusive program, Future of Energy India Vision, organized by Falcon Media in association with NDTV Profit. India's power sector will see an investment of $250 billion in the 11th plan ending 2012, and we would see another $600 billion moving into the sector by the year 2017, which is the 12th plan period. Seeing such a large investment and asset base developing into the country, today this topic has become very relevant, and we have eminent panelists today for this discussion. On my right is Mr. S.C. Sharma, the CEO of Patel Energy Limited, flanked by Mr. Ashish Bagra, CEO of Bill Power Limited. On his right extreme is Mr. Mukesh Alani, who heads the utility Ulhasnagar Municipal Corporation, the electrical department. On my left are two more eminent personalities, Mr. R.K. Srivastava, the director of Kirloskar Brothers Limited, and on his right is Mr. Ajay Bhushan Pandey, who's brought distribution reforms in Maharashtra. He is the managing director of the company, Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution Company Limited. To fire the salvo, let's begin with the fundamental question. We are adding about 100,000 megawatt in the 11th plan period, and that is the target, because 80,000 megawatt is the government target, but we would see another 20,000 megawatt moving in from the captive side, and a similar capacity of 150,000 megawatt is planned for the 12th plan period. So my first question to Mr. Sharma would be that how you see 100,000 megawatt being added in the 11th plan in the background of the experience of the 10th plan, where we have faltered by about 25 to 30%, and also in the 9th plan where we did not add the full capacities. Mr. Sharma, please.
This target is achievable, and we have to fight on all fronts: thermal, hydro, nuclear, non-conventional, and we able to achieve this. Most important is this: we have to encourage the private investors, private operators to enter in this field in power generation. And in hydro, Government of India already taken up. In thermal also, the ultra mega power plants. And in hydro, there is basically my field is hydro. In hydro, government has already awarded about 50,000 megawatt hydro projects to different investors. But result will come, yet to come. It takes some time. So there will be proper strategy to encourage the private investor so that the risk should be minimum and return on their investment should be good. For that, there are a lot of issues which I'll discuss with you later. And the main issue is that the tariff of power should be, the peaking power should have separate tariff and the fund power should have separate tariff. Means the tariff should be market governed tariff. It should not be a fixed tariff, because hydro investment to start with is very huge compared to other source. To take care of this investment, and it is a peaking power. For peaking power, we require definitely different tariff. And peaking power is technical necessity. Our hydrothermal mix should have been hydro 40, 60 thermal. But today it is at 25%.
So very bad. We'll come to the topic, and let's move, coming back, to the question of the 100,000 megawatt addition in the 11th plan, seeing the background. I would ask Mr. Srivastava to throw some light. Is it an achievable target?
I think there are many aspects which are required to be considered, and especially it comes for the manufacturing equipments also, because as of today, more or less all the industries are full of orders, even what is being done today, and in fact we require to do double than this. So naturally people require to expand, they have to increase the capacities. For that, they require a clear policy. They must understand that this is going to be consistent business. Then people are willing to invest that. That is one of very important parameter. The other part is what we require to see is how the various sectors are going to be done. Hydel, thermal, nuclear, and non-conventional energy. Now today, as Mr. Sharma said rightly, that there is a huge potential for the hydel, which is almost 150,000 megawatt. We have done only around 35,000. So there is a big scope here, which is required to get really addressed very fast.
Okay. See, I have a problem here. We just spoke to Mr. R.V. Shahi, the former Secretary Power in the Government of India, and when we interviewed him, we saw a different situation because the ultra mega power policy has been promoted, and we saw about 15 to 20,000 megawatt already in the ambit, and we are seeing about 30,000 megawatt. Let's see what Mr. Shahi has to say on this.
Ultra mega is not the only way we should do, because we also believe that unless we create some capacity in the system which are not totally linked to long-term power purchase agreement, electricity market will not develop. In fact, total capacity under contracted arrangement of 25-30 years is in a way proving to be a hurdle in the electricity market development. And you see all types of development taking place, in the sense that people are selling power at 7 rupees, 8 rupees, 10 rupees. So therefore, unattached capacity away from power purchase agreement should come about. In the working group on power, which I had the honor of presiding over for the 11th five-year plan, we have recommended that 15% of the capacity, of the total capacity, should come from merchant plants, plants which are not on long-term power purchase agreement. In fact, National Electricity Policy, which the Cabinet decided in early 2005, also prescribes that about 15% of the capacity should be away from the power purchase agreement. The merchant capacity, many of the developers are willing, many of them have got the coal block allotted, many of them have got the coal linkage given. What is needed is some sort of a hand-holding through an institutionalized arrangement, Ministry of Power being the nodal point, to see that about 10-15,000 megawatt capacity under the merchant plant group comes up in next 2-3 years. That will catalyze the process of electricity market development.
And as you see, Mr. Shahi has just said, he feels that it's not only the ultra mega power policy and the ultra mega projects that we need to continue with. We need to see other avenues. The government has planned about 78,000 megawatt on their own, but it seems about 20,000 megawatt would literally come from captive and private industry or merchant power plant. So is it the first sign? My question to Mr. Pandey would be, is it the first sign that there is a role of the private sector playing a very positive role with the government sector in growing the power business in India?
Actually, the private sector's role in the today's thinking, in fact, is quite accepted. We have already seen that private sector's participation in ultra mega project, and then successfully several projects have been awarded. Now what is happening is this was done at the national level. Now also various state utilities and the state governments, they are also going ahead on their own ways and in trying to involve private sectors in various ways. For example, in Maharashtra during this 11th plan itself, we are going to add, we have made plans to add something to the tune of something like 9 to 10,000 megawatts. Now out of that, a majority of that power would come from the private sector. Just like Government of India had this ultra mega which is called case 2. That case 2, in Maharashtra also we have several case 2 projects.
Okay, similarly, what I mean to say, could you throw up the percentage that would be typically added? If you say a lot would come from private sector, of that 9,000 megawatt, could you get a figure?
I would say, I would give you the figure. For example, right now, already, 2,000 megawatt under case 1, that tender is under finalization. That,
which would be private sector?
Private sector, completely private sector. Another 2,000 is already on the, we are going through the tender process. We have completed the RFQ process, and then, RFP has also been, process has been initiated. So that is one. So 4,000 megawatt. Then we have a project near Dhopave, which is about 1,600 megawatt. That is under case 2. So these are the projects, which will purely be done by private, sectors. In addition to that, we have several projects which is being done through Maharashtra State Power Generation Company, and there also, the projects are being developed, in part, with the association of the private projects, through the turnkey projects. So total, I would say that in this particular case, you can see that at least 6,000 megawatt is coming through the, is proposed to be added through the private sector, and this is in addition to number of power plants that are being set up on merchant basis in Maharashtra state.
Right.
Merchant basis in Maharashtra state, that at this stage, there are many more plants government has already signed MOU with various various private
There
sectors.
is a definite problem with this MOU thing because this MOU projects did not come up in the past, and we had seen signing of 12,500 megawatt, which never turned up in Maharashtra. So there has been a huge criticism on this angle. So flipping that argument back, because all this is exactly thermal and coal based, and we're seeing the capacity of coal in the country is a limited factor, and the quality of the coal itself is limited. So let's come back to Mr. Sharma and let's see how does he see, because now the moot point of this discussion will come to the fact that in the 11th 5-year plan, we are going to see the dip of the hydropower capacity in the power generation mix to 19% at the national level, which was at 26%, which Mr. Sharma mentioned. So how India would tackle that situation, because this would mean our energy tariff would literally go up by the end of the 11th plan, and that danger of spillover effects in the 11th plan, and then not seeing a lot of hydro projects, although this would be the real strategy for India to increase hydro. What is your comment on this scenario, and where is the solution?
India is 17% of world population, and our total installed capacity only 3.6%. We are very bad in that. Fresh water sources only 4% with us. We are not very good in that. We have to utilize our fresh water sources, and what I feel, hydroelectric power is a byproduct of total water management system, which we are not realizing. And what means water management system means water basically we require for irrigation, for industry, for commercial use, for drinking, for flood moderations. That cost we are not attributing these components, we are attributing completely to hydropower. That's why hydropower become very costly. As I told you, the hydroelectric power is a byproduct of total water management system. Having 4% only water power and 17% population, we should be very cautious enough to utilize our water sources in very methodical way. Hydro, and we have to store the water. We have to construct the larger dam, we have to construct the middle level dam and small dams also. They should be mixed. And what I feel today personally, 60% water to be stored in larger dam, 20% in smaller dam, and 20% allowed to be flow in the river, so that the river should be live. This planning has to be done, and otherwise there will be big chaos on water alone. Instead of thinking hydropower is stand-alone a commercial system, no, it is a byproduct, and that all cost apportionate to irrigation, flood moderation, drinking water, industry use to be removed from the hydro projects, and that way project become more viable and they are eco-friendly. Then fuel cost is zero, no price variation later date, and then tariff will be very, very good.
Presenting sponsor, Patel Engineering. Co-sponsor, Kirloskar. Brought to you by Falcon Media. Media partner, NDTV Profit.
For all the news and everybody's views, for all the movies and all the reviews, for all the music and all its fervor, for all the cricket and all its colour, for all the bulls and the fewest of bears, for astrology telling you of tomorrow's shares. Mobile.ndtv.com for the India that's always on the go. At the end of the day, style does matter. Indigo CS.
जैसे अपने जीनियस के सीखने के हर मौके पर आप रहते हैं तैयार, वैसे ही पढ़ाई के हर अहम मौके पर हम रखते हैं पैसे तैयार। ICICI प्रूडेंशियल की ओर से एजुकेशन सॉल्यूशंस, सीखते रहो, जीते रहो। SMS EDU to 57827। all the business news that affects India.
And over the next 30 minutes, we're going to take you through all the money and market news.
Special reports and interviews with experts.
The market can begin to stabilize.
On the global trends that will hit home. NASDAQ Live. Weeknights at 10 on NDTV Profit.
NASDAQ Live, brought to you by Unitech. Unithinking for a bigger life.
Every morning, let's do your work for you. Save energy, focus on your breakfast while we go about your work.
1 hour of everything you need to know to get through the day.
Corporate news, analyst views, and all the market news.
So get to profit before the others.
Breakfast with Profit. Weekdays at 8 a.m. on NDTV Profit. Breakfast with Profit, brought to you by Serious About Quitting Smoking? Consult your doctor now.
So, going back, to that whole argument, the energy mix or the power mix, which is 60-40, that's the ideal situation, but we are not reaching the ideal situation. But do you see other sources like, there has been a lot of debate, and we have seen the nuclear deal is almost a no-clear deal. So where do we reach? Although we say nuclear is the future, but we don't see in ground reality nuclear moving, and hydro faces a lot of problem in terms of Ministry of Environment and Forest clearances and R&R issues, which we have unfortunately not handled in a way which is amicable. So how, in your own view, I would open this question to the other panelists also, how you would see, maybe I would open Mr. Mukesh Elani to speak on this. How do you see people losing land, and whether they would, whether hydro projects versus people losing land, can there be an amicable situation where both happen? People not losing land in a big way or losing and getting a large compensation?
First, I will say from utility point of view, I will say about Mr. Srivastava what he has said. Energy efficiency is the most required at present. If we increase energy efficiency, I will give you the example of Ulhasnagar. In last 4 years, we have reduced consumption of electrical energy by 15% in street lighting. If such steps are taken, so we may not be needing such huge projects and destabilizing our eco-friendliness. Even if you are going for this hydropower station, we are something damaging the eco also. We are dams and
but
BTC.
basically, I would not take that opinion because if you see large developments around the world,
yes, we will go
reservoir
for
projects are very important. Because
these are very important projects. We should do it.
Yeah.
But first we should go for energy efficiency, and as far as possible, we should involve our villagers, and from whom we are taking the land, we may make them a shareholder of the
this power. The right idea. So now coming back to that fundamental question again, we didn't handle the nuclear, we said no clear deal. So how do you see nuclear energy? What's the view? Maybe we'll start with Srivastava.
I think nuclear we have to go, in my opinion, because that is the source which we are going to have in big way, because coal is not going to stay for a long time. The issue of oil and gas. Heidel what he is talking about the land problem. So I think nuclear may be most prominent in future to really add the energy. And of course, we have to plan all other aspects of safety and all other aspects of nuclear, which are required to be done. Because the country, those who were opposing, they have taken that initiative now. And they are started planning that way. Because I was the other day in the United States, was talking to Bechtel. They were telling from the next year onward, most of the projects are nuclear. While today they were having combined cycle, thermal, idle, all projects, but now they are going to go for nuclear in big way. The reason is the fuel. And in our case, thorium is available easily. So in India, fast feeder reactor will go in big way. As a matter of fact, we are partnered to that development in nuclear power station. We are developing indigenous equipment, and their plan is to go in big way. Of course, they require a lot of policy clearance from the government of India. That is necessary. But I think most of the countries, even all developed countries, are going towards that direction.
Need to now go to the next level, which is the distribution side. While we are talking of generation and going forward, one of the biggest criticisms that we have brought forward is the distribution reforms. In the 10th plan, which ended, we had about 36 to 39% of the electricity not billed, literally going as theft and pilferage. In fact, some people have coined, and I was the first to write on theft and dacoity several years back, when we were at a level of 45%. Of course, we would be toning that down and talking of theft and pilferage now. And in that scenario, how do you see distribution sector reforms going? We will just hear Mr. R.V. Shahi on how Maharashtra has actually achieved this, to some extent in terms of a different model rather than pure privatization.
Distribution is really a very bad story. That is not something which, like central government, NTPC and this instrument and that instrument, we can do. We brought two schemes of the government of India, one for urban distribution and another for rural distribution. Urban distribution accelerated power development reform program. Whichever state did it seriously, like Andhra did it seriously, Andhra got the benefit. In Andhra, we have comparison of one distribution company with the other distribution company within the state sector. Even in Madhya Pradesh, we have. So there are various states where you have 2-3 distribution companies. Maharashtra model, I must say that it was a step in the right direction, though belated, that they reorganized. And there have been advantages of reorganization. At least on generation there is focus, on transmission there is focus, also on distribution there is focus. But this is the second best. First best will have to be that they also have more distribution companies. But one more point on distribution. Sort of privatization. If privatization model has not proved conclusively that this is the model, and one can question whether that conclusion is right or the other conclusion is right. Franchisee model can be a great help.
That's right.
And in that I must compliment Maharashtra that they have taken a pioneering step. Bhiwandi was one of the worst in distribution, and now they are thinking of Nagpur, and so Maharashtra Regulatory Commission, Maharashtra government, let us give the credit whether it is deserved in whichever places they have done it. That model, sort of privatization, is the right model.
So now coming back, and seeing one more scene, while the country is growing and wants equipment, I would like to now come to a point of technology. So do you see a shortage of input, raw material? And the second argument, a lot of Chinese technology coming into the country. What would be your view on this issue?
You see, the view on this issue, yes, because the power sector, the way it is growing and the way it is slated to grow. If you see the history, what has happened is that the entire power sector was in the hands of the government. And the private sector equipment manufacturers were not too sure whether they would manufacture this product, sell it to the utility, and whether they are going to get their money on time or no. So they were very scared to invest more money into their business or to have a capacity expansion. But now with government having a different look and the times changing, people have started expanding themselves. There is a lot of expansion in the equipment manufacturers who are ready to put in money because of the government being open to pay their money through different routes. Necessarily what happens in this situation is that equipment manufacturers are still in the process of growing because they're still not sure about the system in many of the places. In this scenario, the government has to look at now to promote the number of to increase the number of manufacturers. What has happened is if the government says that we need to buy X number of transformers or we need to buy X number of equipments, they have their own qualification requirements, which is yes, required. Why not? Because the manufacturer himself should be capable enough to manufacture the product as per the quality requirement. But the government needs to look at it from the point of view to promote new people, that once people have set up an industry and they started manufacturing equipments, they need to look at on their qualification requirements for other people to come into this business as well.
With that, I thank all of you for sharing this opportunity and bringing this entire debate into its full. And we will see the future of Indian energy sectors in very good hands with a lot of Indian players coming in. With that, I thank everybody who's been on this show. And thanks again for the sponsors, Kirloskar Brothers, as well as Patel Engineering Limited, who have really backed this program. Thanks once again to all the panelists.
Thank you.